Thank you very much. Good morning, all, and good Kodesh, and thank you for having me. Always a pleasure to be here. Yishakar to all concerned for making this wonderful event run and run and run. It's been many years now. Always lovely to see you all. As I wanted to talk about Tammuz, as it's the beginning of Tammuz today, and there's a lot to say, more than I realized, to be honest. So I had quite a journey of discovery just finding out about all of this. And I've been itching to share it with you all. So good to be here. I've given you a handout because there's a lot of sources and it runs around a bit. So I thought having a handout, that means if you want to sort of keep track of where we're up to or have a look back over it later, you're welcome to do so. If not to worry, but just enjoy the ride in any case. So I want to start off on a seasonal note with something to do with Pesach, where we have the Almighty depicted in the Haggadah, based on from a pasuk in Yechezkel, where he quotes his famous pasuk, God says, I passed over you, and I saw you wallowing in your bloods, plural. And I said to you, live in your blood. And I said to you, live in your bloods. And these two bloods are taken to be referring to Dam Pesach and Dam Milah, the blood of the Pesach lamb and the blood of circumcision, both of which mitzvahs the Jewish people did while they were still in Egypt before they left on that momentous night or momentous day of the Exodus. And it's a curious thing that we have this blood as a symbol of life for the Jewish people, because elsewhere it's a symbol of death. But just a bit earlier in Yechezkel, we see that the Almighty instructs an angel to make a Tov sign on people's foreheads. And it says there, his Vesa Tov Amitzches Anoshim. Make a Tov on the foreheads of the men. And the Almighty, in the Gemara Shabbos, it explains it a bit more. And the Almighty says to Gabriel, Hamalach Gabriel, the angel, Lech Rishom al Mitzvah Sadikim Tosad Yoy, go and make a Tov of ink on the righteous in Jerusalem, so that the angels of destruction will not attack them. And on the foreheads of the wicked, make a Tov of blood, so that the angels of destruction will have dominion over them. Can you spot the inconsistency here?
You're not supposed to have tattoos.
No, it's not a permanent thing. It's only blood or ink. It's not a tattoo. But think about the Pesach blood and think about the blood of the Tov on the forehead.
Mm-hmm.
So
Pesach is good.
That's right. In Pesach, the blood was something that saved us. Yet here, the blood is a symbol of condemnation, because the righteous had a Tov of ink, but the wicked had a Tov of blood, and that was something that led to their destruction. So why is it that on Pesach, the Tov leads to life, so the blood leads to life, whereas in Yechezkel, in the story of the Tov on the people's foreheads, the Tov in blood is a symbol of death, Rahman al-Islam. How come the symbol is so inconsistent? So the Oyer Yaakov, a commentary on the Chumash, talks about this, and he says, this is the decree of the Almighty. The blood in the Pesach story was converted from a symbol of death, which it normally is, into a symbol of life, because the Jewish people were doing God's will. Since they were prepared to shed their own blood in the midst of circumcision, that was such a beautiful thing to do. They took a chance, they risked all for God's sake. Therefore, the Almighty says, this blood has now become a symbol of life. In Yechezkel, where sadly we went on that sort of lofty spiritual level, then indeed the blood remained as a symbol of death. Hashem Yerachim. So this tells us that there is this spiritual mechanism of a turnaround. When you do the right thing, what is normally a bad thing, you can turn it into something good. You can turn a desperate, horrible situation into a beautiful situation if you do God's will. in Yechezkel, when we're talking about the decline of Jerusalem, the bad people had a symbol of death on their foreheads, and that death was conveyed by blood. In the Pesach story, because we were doing what God wanted, even blood, normally a symbol of death, became a symbol of life. And Tammuz is a time when we have turnarounds. We're going to move now back from Pesach to Purim. Would you believe it? If you have a look in the Siddur that I use, the Tfilas Koper Siddur, it has the Tzirufim, the combination of the 4 letters of God's name, and there's different combinations for each month, and they're all derived from Pesukim. And the Tziruf for Tammuz, which we begin today, this is an expression of our connection with God in this month, is God's name backwards. And it's derived from a pasuk in the Megillah, where Haman says, "V'chol einenu sheveh li." All this means nothing to me. Haman said this at a critical moment in the Purim story, and it looked like he was putting the tin lid on the fate of the Jewish people. You all know the story. Haman had issued his wicked decree for the destruction of the Jewish people. Mordechai says to Esther she must do something. What does Esther do? She invites Haman to a party with her and King Ahasuerus. Haman goes to the party. He has a final time. He's absolutely thrilled to be hobnobbing with the great and the good in Shushan. And on his way out from the party, he spots Mordechai. Mordechai doesn't bow. He doesn't even get up. And Haman comes home in a rage, and he sees to his family and his friends and Zeresh, his missus, and he says, all this, all the honor that's been done to me means nothing to me. For as long as, it's because I mentioned Haman's name, I'm going to make a noise. For as long as Mordechai the Jew is there, I can't get comfortable in my own skin. I'm so cross. So Zeresh has an idea, and all her mates, and they say, it's all right. They say, you know what? Why not hang him? You're the boss, you're the prime minister, if we're going to say, hang Haman, and then everything will be absolutely fine. Oh, sorry, I'm so sorry. Hang Mordechai, thank you. Yeah, hang Mordechai. Yeah, very good. Hang Mordechai, and then everything will be absolutely fine. So Haman says that's a fantastic idea. He sets up a 50 amah high gallows in his garden to hang Mordechai on it, and then he's ready to go to the next party with the king. All happy, and what could possibly go wrong? And when the Jews saw this, and they might have realized what was going on, they must have thought, it's all up now. Not only do we have this death sentence hanging over us, our leader Mordechai is going to be hanged tomorrow. We're done for. We're finished. And this is the V'chol einenu sheveh li. That's God's name backwards. Now, the 4-letter name of God normally depicts mercy. When it comes out backwards like this, it's the opposite of mercy. It's a turnaround in a bad way. Mercy is converted into din. And Tammuz is a time of din. This is the time when the Jewish people sent spies out into the land of Israel. It was precisely now, this time of year, that they were going around looking at the land of Israel in a bad way, denigrating God, God help us, reducing people's faith in God, reducing their own faith in God. It was a bad time for the Jewish people. What happened in the Purim story? Everything turned around. The very thing that Haman thought would destroy Mordechai destroyed Haman. Put yourself for a moment in King Ahasuerus' shoes. There he is at this second party. Esther says to him, I need you to save me and my people. And King Ahasuerus says, who wants to destroy you? And she says, it's Haman. He wants to destroy me and my people because I'm Jewish and my people are the Jews. Now, at this moment, King Ahasuerus perhaps was torn. So on the one hand, he's got his wife. On the other hand, he's got his prime minister. He's got the personal versus the professional. Which way should he turn? And you can sense in the text, if you look at it very carefully, you can sense in the text that he wasn't quite sure what to do. And it was at that moment that Harvona intervened. And he said, wouldn't you know it, if you look in Haman's garden right now, you'll see a gallows that he's put up to hang Mordechai, who saved your life. And we know this because last night, Ahasuerus had this, he couldn't sleep, and they had the Chronicles read to him, and he heard the story about how Mordechai informed on Big Son and Teresh. Big Son and Teresh were killed because they were trying to assassinate the king. So it was Harvona who pointed to the gallows, and that turned it in Achashverosh's mind, and he says, Tuluhu Olav, hang him on that very gallows. So the very thing that Haman said, the Choser Einenu Sheveli, became the capstone of his destruction and the introduction to the thing that would cause his own death. The Choser Einenu Sheveli was the instrument of the ultimate turnaround. The Jewish people repented, they fasted, they prayed, and that was why it would all turn around. And what looked like the very last thing, just the thing that would completely finish off the Jews, the hanging of Mordechai, turned out to be the very thing that saved Mordechai and therefore saved the entire Jewish people, because Mordechai and Esther were able to persuade Achashverosh to introduce a counter decree against the genocidal decree of Haman, allowing the Jewish people to defend themselves against their persecutors, and all was well on the day. So, the Choser Einenu Sheveli, the tziruf, the divine name coming out from this name in Tammuz, hints at a turnaround to come. And in case you don't believe me, we'll take it a stage further. This Tov story is from the decline of the Jewish state. It's 3 weeks start. And there is a special connection between this and the 3 weeks that are soon upon us, starting on the 17th of this month, Tammuz. I'm just going to try a trick question on you. How many days are there in the 3 weeks?
22.
Nice one, thank you. Not 21, it's 22. And I put a calendar on the hand. You can count it if you don't believe me. The 22 days from Shiva Asar Tammuz to Tisha B'Av. Tav is the 22nd letter in our Aleph base. The turnaround of Tammuz is hinted at in the Tav, which hints at the 3 weeks to begin in Tammuz. And just as Tammuz is a month of turning around, as the Choser Einenu Sheveli, Haman's saying, is the theme for Tammuz, turning din into chesed, turning God's justice into kindness and mercy. So too, that Tav in the story of Yechezkel hints to the 3 weeks, not necessarily being a time of destruction, but perhaps being a time of goodness and salvation for us all. And I'll prove it to you, because there's another 22 in our Jewish calendar. From Rosh Hashanah to Shmini Atzeres, when we are in our full spiritual glory, is also 22 days. That Tov needn't be the 22 days of the 3 weeks. It can be the time when we move from the day of judgment through to this wonderful time of Shmini Atzeres, when the Jewish people are we've been through Sukkot, where we brought 70 nations 70 bulls to atone for the sins of the entire world. We've cleansed the spirituality of the entire humanity. And on Shmini says, God says, you've done a grand job. Let's have a party, just you and I. Now, a relationship with God is perfectly mended on Shmini Atzeres. That is the choice that we have with the 22 days. Is it going to be the 22 days of the 3 weeks, or the 22 days of Rosh Hashanah through to Shmini Atzeres? The Tov teaches us that anything can be turned around, that blood can be turned from something bad into something good. The Tziruf of Tammuz teaches the very same thing, that something that looks so bad, the Choser Einenu Sheveli, can in fact be the instrument of our salvation. So Tammuz is a bleak sounding month. It's a time that looks very foreboding, but the grimmest situations can be turned around, and it behooves us all to cling to the Almighty, to do what we can, and we'll turn bad things into good, or if you like, turn lemons into lemonade. Please could you turn off the Zoom?
No, he's not finished yet. Let's pausing the Zoom, folks. So those on Zoom, how do I pause it? I'm saying goodbye to those on recording now, and the rest is not being recorded, but it's remaining on Zoom for those who